Hi, Rich Carrubba for bowlingball.com. Let's talk about bowling lane specifications. First, it's important to note that on our site under Bowlversity, on the button on the home page, you can find this article called Bowling Lane Specifications. We recommend you review it, you read through it. It has a lot of information in there that you might find useful. All I'm going to do is just highlight some of the features of that article at this time, and I'd like to start with the bowling approach. The bowling approach is from the foul line back to the approach is typically about 15 feet. And we've got 3 sets of guides embedded into the approach. At the foul line, there's 7 dots with a larger center dot right on the center 20 board. Goes across 3 dots each side of that. Across the lane, we have about typically 5 dots 12 feet back from the foul line, which align with the center 5 guides up at the foul line. And of course, all the way back near the end of the approach are the same 7 guides you see lined up by the foul line. Well, that's important to know because it helps you with your initial alignment, but also it helps you position, relatively speaking, for the length of steps that you take. Just because you have a 15-foot approach doesn't mean you need to stand back there or stand at the 12-foot guides. It should be based on your length of stride and the pace or rhythm of your steps. Consult the coach to help you with good footwork. It's very important. But anyway, the lane itself is 60 feet long from the foul line to the head pin, and it's about 41.5 inches wide. Now, there's a lot of other interesting information about the lane. For example, 12 inches between spots, between the pin spots from one pin to another, that the pins are set on the pin deck in a triangular formation, like an equilateral triangle, and the back row of pins are only 2 3/4 inches from the actual pit on the pin deck. And there's about 15 inches of room from the 10 pin or the edge of the 7 pin to the kick panels on the side. So there's a lot of room in there. The pins could get trapped and knock the corner pins down. All those things are important to know or fun to think about. But I think the most important thing is we know the lane's 60 feet long and 41.5 inches wide. And from that distance of the lane, it's important to understand that we typically refer to the lane in 3 sections: front end, mid lane, and back end. Front end is where the oil is applied. About the first 20 feet is what the lane machines will apply oil. Now, typically in most house conditions, from the second arrow on both sides is the heaviest concentration of oil, less to the edges of the lane, and the heaviest concentration of oil toward the foul line, and perhaps a little blended or reducing ratio of oil volume down the lane to the 20 foot, about 20 feet down the lane. The middle section has a lighter volume of oil compared to the front section. And then, of course, from the 40 feet approximately to the pins, there's no oil. The back ends are completely dry. So you're going to get the skid on the front end and some roll in the mid lane, and then, of course, your hook from the break point to the pocket. Now, the break point typically is 5, 6, 7 feet past the edge of the oil. That's the break point of the lane. A good strategy is to match the break point of the bowling ball, because there's so many bowling ball choices, aren't there? So many options available to you. You want to match the bowling ball break point to the break point on the lane surface. That's a good strategy, and that's something you can discuss with your pro shop operator and reading all the articles and seeing all the information we have here for you at bowlingball.com. Now, there's no question that bowlers will typically, because there's a foul line on the approach, they'll slide too far from the foul line, making the approach too long. In other words, they'll lengthen the lane by a foot or 2. It's amazing how many bowlers do not reach the foul line when they slide. You want to work on that. 2 to 4 inches behind the foul line is plenty of time to avoid going over the line, having that annoying light go off and buzzer go off, and voiding your score if you're in competition. It'll help you get the ball over the lane easier so the ball comes off your hand, releases in the heaviest concentration oil just beyond the foul line on the front part of the lane, and slide easily down the lane to the break point. You got to use all these things that are built into understanding bowling lane specifications to your advantage. Now, you can get carried away with too much minutia or small bits of information, but we recommend you consider the bigger picture. Read this article that we've got on bowlingball.com. It will help you understand a little bit more about bowling lane specifications, and we hope this is useful for you when you're to get good results on the lanes. And while you're here today, spend a little time, look at all the wonderful products we have available. If you find something you want to purchase, simply follow the easy-to-order online instructions. And remember, we're always open, and we thank you for visiting bowlingball.com.